So this video is part of Amazon Online Arbitrage Product Research Methods, and I'm focusing on the main topic of suppliers and how to conduct research with different types of suppliers. Now, the first question is, do you have a supplier or suppliers that you want to use? And if you do, then I'm going to continue to ask some other questions to help you with the process of finding products to sell from these suppliers. Now, if you don't have a supplier, there is no shortage of suppliers out there and sources to find suppliers, such as this list from Tactical Arbitrage, which is a sourcing software. Okay, and they have a very large list of suppliers, which can give you an idea of some different sites you can try. Now, but back to having already chosen a supplier, what category of products does the supplier sell? Okay, we need to look at that. And then number two, are you approved to sell these products on Amazon? Now, if you're dealing with a large supplier, such as Walmart, not really too worried about the categories, because basically they sell everything, right? So they definitely have categories that you will be approved to sell right off the bat with a new account. So that's not really a concern. However, if you're dealing with a supplier like this one, VitaCost, for instance, this is a supplier that sells household. Well, you need to make sure that you're approved to sell grocery, because they do have food items here as well. So you're not automatically approved to sell grocery on Amazon. Okay, so that's something that you have to know. If you're approved to sell grocery, if you're approved to sell things like vitamins. Okay, so if you don't have approval to sell those items, it wouldn't really make sense to use VitaCost as a supplier unless you're willing to go through the process of getting approved to do so. Okay, now the third thing is there's actually another situation for suppliers where you have suppliers that actually only sell one brand. And I don't have it open now, but for instance, take Nike.com. Okay, Nike.com, if you were trying to use them as a supplier, well, they only sell Nike. And you'd have to make sure that you have approval to sell that brand, Nike. And Nike's just an example. I'm not suggesting it. It's just an example. All right, but you'd have to make sure that you can sell that brand, because if you don't have approval to sell that brand on Amazon, well, then you can't use that supplier at all, right? Now, number four, does this supplier have a brands list? Okay, now if you're talking about a supplier with just one brand, well, of course that wouldn't matter, so you would skip this, right? But many suppliers, most suppliers do sell different brands, more than one brand, and some do actually have a brands list, such as this supplier, VitaCost. Okay, they actually have a brands list that it may or may not be linked from this page, but if you Google, you can actually find their brands list. So actually, I can show you on Google how that would be done. You would type in VitaCost, and then you can put brands in quotes or something like that, and this might pull up the list of brands that is sold by the supplier. Okay, so here are all the different brands that they sell. All right, and there are other sites that have a brands list like this as well. I also provide brands lists from certain suppliers. I may have some that you can potentially see if I have a link. I normally try to scrape these off into a CSV that you can actually download, or a Google Sheet, or both. Okay, which just comes in handy with some other tools that I have in store for you. Now, on the issue of suppliers and brands, okay, Amazon is all about brands. Okay, their products are brands. Okay, they have brands on them. They're not just products. They're products with brands. And if the supplier has a brands and page list, then basically what you can do is you can take those brands and you can just search them directly on Amazon. Right? So you can, when you have a brands list like this, you can literally take these brand names and just search them on Amazon and find products right away. For instance, Bob's Red Mill, I can literally go to the product catalog and I can actually search Bob's Red Mill and actually pull up Bob's Red Mill products. Okay, so that's something I can do, right? But if I don't have a brands list, if I'm dealing with an online store that does not have a brands list, an example, and I was going to give examples later, but for example, hayneedle.com. Okay, I haven't found a brands list for this supplier, right? So if they don't have a brands list, otherwise, if they don't have a brands list, what you want to do is choose a category on that supplier website, which of course you're going to make sure you're approved to sell. And basically home decor, things like that, these kind of general home categories, you're approved to sell right off the bat. Okay, things that you're not approved to sell right off the bat would be things that are going on people's bodies or people are ingesting, things like that, right? But something like this, you can normally sell these right away with a new account. Okay, so you might want to go into some of these categories and just start looking at products. Okay, now in this process of going through these products, you're going to try to see if any of these products are on Amazon. So you might want to take some of these and see if they're actually on Amazon. And I'm not doing a complete process in this video. This is just an overview. But, just as an example, right, you could search for this product and then see if you find it on Amazon, right? And it looks like this might even be a similar product, okay? Possibly. But really, what you can do in the process is you can make note of the brands as you encounter them on the products. You can make note of, there are brand names on these, so you can also just kind of make note of those brands that are sold at the supplier, and you can even search those on Amazon as well and see what you get. Okay, so that is basically those are basically your two situations. If you have a brands list, you take those brands right over to Amazon and you can start searching them right away, and you can pull up your products right away. Okay, if you don't have a brands list, then you just kind of go through the products at the supplier and just kind of check the products, see if you can find them on Amazon, see what kind of brands they have, and you can even check some of those brands as well. Now, so that basically to summarize all of that on this last slide, to answer the question, where should I start my product research? Well, basically, you have a suppliers with a brand. If you have a supplier with a brands list, start on Amazon. If you have no brands list, start on the supplier. If your supplier is a brand, then you start on Amazon as well, because if the supplier is a brand, such as Nike, then you already have the brand. You just go to Amazon and search the brand. Okay, so this is not strict. You can still start on, even if you have a brands list, you can still start on a supplier from that brand and search on Amazon as well. You don't have to start on Amazon, but you can. Okay, so ideally, this is just what I do ideally, but it just really depends. And then now in the actual process of doing this, I have several Google Sheet systems that help to automate the process, which will be explained and have been explained in other videos. This video is just an overview. And so if you have, check the links in the description of this video for other videos with more details. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, leave them below. And look forward to hearing from you or seeing you around on the channel.